Well, guess what? Another mirror. Well, this did have a mirror in it at one point. I don't know how old this is. A fellow friend of mine, client of mine, showed me a mirror similar to this sort of border that she got from her husband as a gift, and she said that it was I don't know, 17th century mirror or 18th century. It was, I don't remember how she described it, so maybe this actually is quite old and quite valuable. But it's been sitting around my house for a long time, and I've been tripping over it, and I've used it to put signs in and hang on the wall above some things I've created. But now I'm going to turn it into another pen holder. But because of its glitziness and its sparkly, bangly buttons and bowness of it, I have the background, rather than being rather sedate and just with strips of leather or suede, that the pens can slide in. I'm doing this one a little bit differently. I'm going to make a collage using bits and pieces of black and white and sequiny lace and stuff. So it'll have this, what do I imagine it's going to look like? What's a polite way of saying clusterfuck? It'll have a certain flustercuckage of quality to it. I'm fond of horror vacui, which means fear of empty spaces. And if you look at the paintings by Ivan Albright, you'll see he didn't leave any areas where your eye can actually rest. There's always some little scratchy business going on. And that's sort of how I live my life. When I go to a house of a friend's house or their apartment, or even the house I grew up in, I can walk 10 or 12 or 20 feet in a straight line without hitting anything. Here I can maybe walk, there might be one area in my house that I can walk in a straight line for maybe 6 feet. Oops, I just broke that. And then I have to turn or step over something or bend down to go underneath something, because there's always something in the way. And usually those things that are in the way are things that I own in order to hold other things. There's lots of cabinetry that have lots of little drawers or cubby holes in them, and they're stacked on top of each other, and I get to wander through and open a drawer and find all sorts of stuff. So I like that sort of densely activated stuff. So I'm going to, with my hot glue and maybe an occasional nail or screw, I'm going to completely fill this with this mountain of lace and sequins and stuff. And then what am I going to do, you ask? Well, then I'm going to use it also to hold pens, but the pens that this is going to hold will be the Victorian era mother of pearl, very delicate, somewhat feminine dip pen nibs. Do I have any here? Victoria. These are the non-mother of pearl kind, but they're very slender, and they'll slip through. There'll be lots of areas that they won't really be pockets. They're more going to be, they'll more be bands, like elastic bands that you can slide things through and sort of weave things through. So there'll be this sort of bouquet of pens coming out from the center, rather than your lace flowers or whatever they were made of. And then there'll be little things like this going across. Maybe these will be the things that you'll slide the pens through. Maybe this will be the last thing I'll apply. So I think what I need to do, though, is to pry this thing off the back, and then I'll assemble it later. But this is nice because there's this gap that I can, once this thing is done, it'll be deep enough that the things that I'm sliding in will not be brushed or broken by a door slamming up against this or something, because they'll be somewhat protected. Just as this is protected, the side view of this is flat. Now you could see the little bump of that, but so this is my plan. And why am I doing this instead of working on a monogram that I'm being paid to do? Faux fur. This might be real fur. This is real leather. Is this from an actual animal? So this will be this conglom. It'll look something like this when it's done. In fact, if it looked like this when it was done, I wouldn't be unhappy about it. And then it'll have these things going across, sort of anchoring everything down, and then inside of that, I can then slide that. And then when I want to use this pen, I just pull it out, write my note, slide it back in. Actually, if I could just make this stick, I might just have left it like that. Look at that little bit of blue in there, blue and pink. It's elastic. See, this could be, I know this is supposed to go on some leg of a dame, but it's not. I have a bunch of white leather gloves and they're not all white. Some are dark brown, some are black leather gloves from the era when women would wear long leather gloves to the opera. And I've made a bouquet of them. I'll just show you. So anyway, this is the before picture. You'll see the after picture. You'll see the afterbirth later on. See, my monogram that has to get done is over there. And I just wanted to show you, here's the 6 feet of space where let me do it again. I'm going to walk in a straight line for 6 feet. 1, 2, 7 feet. And I have to go around this thing that's on the floor that doesn't belong there. And I have to turn, oh my God, look at this. 8 feet. 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet. So this, I'm walking sideways because these are the pens that I'm going to put in my little display. But I may change my mind. The gold maybe is too gold for that display. Maybe it requires bright shiny chrome, in which case it might be a display of Ronson pencil lighters or something. Look at this. See, these are my little bouquet of white ladies' gloves. And beautiful kid leather. Oh my God, this stuff is, I want to have sheets made of this. Glove making was such a skill and an art, all done by little tiny hands. So these are, these are glued together, and they're not glued. They might be. I forget how I did this. But I put long metal wires in here, like hanger wires, to keep them vertical. But see, these things could also be, I could create these to hold pens right between the thumb and index finger, if I so chose, for another day. I like them pointing upward. So these are the ones I made yesterday. These can hold pens or desk sets. This is here's my writing desk that you would sit if you wanted to buy a pen, and these are the pens that I have for sale. And these are in another big deep set frame. These leather pockets are more utilitarian. These are like the big pocket on your bib overalls. Do they even make those? And these will eventually, once I figure out what I'm doing, if ever I have real people visiting me anymore, this might be fine flexible. This might be medium flexible, or I might have them organized top to bottom, left to right. And fine firm might be here. Fine flexible might be there, broad firm might be there, broad flexible. So the point size will go down, the flexibility will go over, an X and Y axis thing. So I'll know right here is medium flexible, medium point, right there in the middle. What's down there? Firm, fine. Firm, broad. Fine flex, broad flex. Doesn't that make sense? Right now, it doesn't, but I should have used larger pieces of leather. Who's that handsome man in that mirror there? So here's another thing that I did with pockets. These are my pen and pencil sets. Some of them. I've got pen and pencil sets elsewhere. See, this whole area looks kind of like what I want this other thing to look like. I want the interior of this to have that sort of densely horror vacui thing. It's not going to be that crowded. I'm going to make it look, I hope, I'm going to make it look a little bit more arranged. But I like taking things like a bunch of lace and spangles and buttons and beads and bows, and rather than applying them to a garter or a lady's dress, I like figuring out a way to repurpose them. And I'll show you outside. I've made some Christmas wreaths out of things that were repurposed. For example, this Christmas wreath is made out of rope and twine, and the bow, this is all rope, sort of butch, nasty rope cable. There's black rope in the core of it. And the bow, how did I make the bow? I made the bow out of these very tassely tassels. Even the tassels have tassels. This was some part of a Victorian mirror. It would hang down from the wire. And then these things, the eye bolts were screwed into the side of the mirror, and these would hang on either side, because that's what they did back then. Wreath made of HO train tracks. A wreath made out of copper plumbing. Another wreath made out of a copper wire with other copper wire and copper wreath. HO train track. Here's the bow made of the terminal wire, another copper one, 50 shades of green, made out of Lincoln log roofing parts. Fish made out of cardboard. Pizza delivery boy totem poles made out of pizza boxes. See? With the exception of the hot glue, almost all of this stuff was found in the trash or recycling or somewhere. So I'm using up stuff I've collected over the years to create something new and fun. So wish me luck. I have to plug you in because the battery said it was low. So I'm plugging you in. And you can watch me try to unscrew the back. Shall we see if I can do that? Do I have a screwdriver anywhere in my house? The screwdriver might be too big. Yes, it's too big. Look at this. I've got my little screwdriver drawer. poor thing. Look at this lovely little screwdriver. Ooh. Well, that's an old screw, that's for sure. I'll try this screwdriver now. This one is kind of, this is aluminum, the handle. Come on. I don't know if you can hear that noise. I don't think that one's unscrewing. I think it's just the, I don't think it's, I think the hole that that screw is in is like this one. I can just pry out. So, what do you think of all of this? I know I could be doing something important. I will go and work on my, these screws are doing absolutely nothing. They're just barely in the wood. When I finish my creation, I will glue this thing in rather than just screw it in so it won't fall off. Okay, why aren't you coming off on, why aren't you, there we go. We didn't need that piece. God, even the underside of this is beautiful. Copper with a little bit of patina there, a bit of color. These little nails that are in it are the things that held the silvered mirror in place. And then the backing, this is the backing. Okay, so this is the back, this is the front, that's the top. Just put a, well, that says it's, why did I put, oh, that, I remember, that was, I had a sign, and I cut up my oval, not quite as perfectly sized, and I had to fill it in. So I've got my day planned. I like this. I like seeing the little threading on this one. I may save this for a different project. This was the handle of a purse. And which I thought, I loved the taupey green, the taupey gray color. Putty gray. Or is it Alzheimer's? No, this is Senior Moment Tan. This is a little darker and a little grayer than that. So what do you think? What do you think of these little projects? Write your answers below. Should I just get a job? Should I just get a real job pounding nails into a suburban housing mega mansion? Or should I work for NASA? Should I become a doctor, a surgeon? What are your thoughts? What should I do instead of this? Don't give up your day job. You're typing. Bye.